The young man looked at his reflection in the water and saw a warrior staring back. His face was grim, etched with determination. He wasn't just any man, he was a man with a dream so big it echoed in his soul. This was not a dream to be cherished in slumber, but one that demanded action while awake. He knew it would require an extraordinary journey, but he was prepared to pay the price. The path ahead was fraught with uncertainty, shadowed by giants who had attempted and failed. Many had dared to dream of conquering Everest, but few had returned to tell the tale. Yet something inside him, a relentless force, urged him forward. It whispered tales of triumph, sang songs of victory, and showed him a future where his name was etched in the stars. The dream had become his obsession. As the sun began its slow descent, casting long shadows across the valley, he made a decision. Tomorrow, he would begin his ascent. Tonight, he would prepare. Gathering his thoughts, he turned away from the mirror, which now reflected not just a man, but a promise. A promise to himself, to his dream, and to the world. In the stillness of the night, under a sky dusted with stars, he packed his gear. Every item was chosen with precision, each step a ritual in preparation for the dance with danger that awaited him. He checked his oxygen supply, tested his equipment, and studied maps of the treacherous route. The silence of the night was broken only by the soft rustle of his movements, the clink of metal, and the beating of a heart that echoed the rhythm of his dream. As the first rays of dawn touched the snow-capped peaks, he began his ascent. With every step, the world shrunk, the noise faded, and his focus narrowed to the task at hand. The mountain loomed above him, a silent, majestic giant that tested not just his physical endurance, but his spirit as well. Days turned into weeks as he climbed higher. The air grew thin, the temperature dropped, and the mountain threw everything it had at him. Blizzards, avalanches, and a constant battle against altitude sickness. But he pressed on. His dream was his lifeline, pulling him up, urging him forward. Then came the moment he had both dreaded and longed for, the death zone. Here, the air was so thin that every breath felt like a struggle. Each step was a victory over the thin air, over the cold, over the gnawing hunger and the aching bones. But he was prepared, mentally and physically. He had trained for this moment. He adjusted his oxygen mask, took a deep breath, and continued his ascent. As he neared the summit, the weather took a turn. The wind howled, the snow swirled, and the temperature plummeted. But now, the finish line was in sight, and he couldn't afford to be distracted. The dream that had become his obsession was within reach. And then he saw it, the final obstacle, the Hillary Step. This sheer rock face was the last barrier between him and the summit. It was here that many had turned back, defeated by the final test. But he had come too far to be denied. He placed one foot in front of the other, his gaze fixed on the top. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, he reached the summit. As he stood there, wind-battered and exhausted, the world unfolded beneath him. The clouds were his only company, and the silence was deafening. But in that moment, he was on top of the world. His dream had become reality. He had conquered Everest, but his journey was far from over. Now, he had to get back down. The descent was no less perilous than the ascent. Every step had to be carefully considered. The risk of injury or worse was ever present, but he was cautious. He moved slowly, methodically, his eyes scanning for any potential danger. As he descended, the weather took a turn for the worse. The wind picked up, the snow intensified, and visibility dropped. But he pressed on, guided by instinct, experience, and the burning desire to reach the safety of base camp. The following days were a blur of activity as he made his way down the mountain. Each step brought him closer to the familiar surroundings of base camp, and with each step, the dream receded into a fading memory. As he finally reached base camp, he was met with a hero's welcome. Cheers, congratulations, and hugs from his fellow climbers and support staff. In that moment, he realized that he wasn't just conquering a mountain, he was conquering his own limits. Reflecting on his journey, he knew it had been more than a physical challenge. It had been a test of his will, his determination, and his spirit. Looking back at the mountain that had tested him, he saw not just a peak, but a symbol of his own strength. Everest had pushed him to his breaking point, but he had not only survived, he had thrived. As the days passed and the euphoria of his victory began to fade, he found himself thinking about the next challenge. The dream that had driven him to the top of the world had now become a part of him. It was a part of his identity, a testament to his resilience and his spirit. He knew that life wouldn't always be easy. There would be new challenges, new obstacles to overcome. But he was ready. He had faced the wrath of Everest and had emerged victorious. So whatever life threw at him, he knew he could handle it. Everest had taught him that dreams, no matter how big, are achievable. All it takes is a strong will, unwavering determination, and the courage to face the unknown. As he planned his next move, he carried with him the lessons learned on Everest, the importance of preparation, the need for perseverance, and the strength that comes from within. Looking back at his journey, he saw not just a climb, but a transformation. He had started as a man with a dream, but he had returned as a conqueror. He was a living testament to the power of dreams and the strength of the human spirit. One day, a young man set out to conquer his biggest fear, public speaking. He signed up for a class, bought books, and practiced in front of the mirror. Months passed, and he became a confident speaker, delivering talks that inspired thousands. Looking back, he realized it hadn't been about the classes or the books, but about facing his fear every day and getting better. His dream had become his reality. Meanwhile, a woman dreamed of opening her own bakery. She spent her free time learning recipes, baking, and experimenting with flavors. Years went by, filled with the aroma of fresh bread and the sweet taste of success. Looking back, she realized it hadn't been about the recipes or the fame, but about the passion she poured into every loaf, every cake. Her dream had become her reality. These stories may seem ordinary, but they're extraordinary examples of dreams taking flight. They show us that dreams aren't just wishes whispered in the night. They're seeds that grow into reality with consistent effort and unwavering dedication. Whether you dream of scaling new heights or simply want to make your mark on the world, these stories serve as a reminder your dreams are within reach. All you need to do is believe in them and work tirelessly to make them a reality.